And welcome back to the Thom Hartmann Program. Obviously, I am not Thom Hartmann.
Thom has an interview. He's doing one for his book. He has had lots of interviews.
Danielle and Shano, Thom's associate producers, are here filling in for the next hour, and Thom will be back. So if you're waiting, please hang on. Either we'll get to your calls or Thom will in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, we wanted to talk about the so-called Do-Nothing Congress. Back in 1947, the 80th Congress under President Harry Truman passed 388 laws, about 400 pieces of legislation.
Which was not that much, and they were called the Do-Nothing Congress as a result.
Exactly.
And how many have we passed in this Congress, by the way?
Under the 113th Congress of today, under President Obama, there have been a total of 49.
49. So
49 pieces of legislation.
So that would be
passed.
a do less Congress, even less?
I'm not quite sure of what we can call them, but we are going to speak with somebody who is an expert at all of this stuff. David Bender, the political director of Progressive Voices, you can check it out at progressivevoices.com, is here to help us figure out. David, what would you call this Congress if do nothing is already taken?
No, nothing.
No, nothing?
No, nothing. And it's already taken, but it hasn't been used since 1856, so it seems like the copyright is probably passed. I don't think Millard Fillmore or anyone is going to really object if we call a Congress that is dominated by people who actually literally know nothing. They do not know what is causing climate change. They don't want to know. They actively don't want to know the truth about issue after issue after issue. They don't want to know that people need health care in this country. They have no solutions. They know nothing. And it is easy and facile and accurate to call them the party of no, but it should be KNOW. It is the party of they don't know anything. And worse yet, they distrust science. They distrust facts.
Well, and they distrust...
That's what's driven this Congress.
Well, and they distrust government. I mean, they're constantly railing about the evils of government while trying to run it. On that note, you have Republicans blaming Harry Reid for inaction, saying it's because Harry Reid blocks Republican amendments. And you, of course, have the Democrats saying that the Republicans' abuse of the filibuster is responsible. But what do you think is behind this political gridlock? I mean, can it really all be about hating President Obama?
Yes. Let's just look at the numbers. Again, in the history of the Republic, half of the filibusters, and let us be clear that they aren't real filibusters because, as we know, the idea is that it was intended for people to take the floor and hold it. That doesn't happen. They just threaten to do it. But half of all of the filibusters in the history of the Republic, guys, have happened in the 5 years under President Obama. That is beyond comprehension. It's not a statistical anomaly. Any more than glaciers melting is a statistical anomaly. These things are real. This is all directed at keeping, for example, the federal bench from containing President Obama's appointees. Right now, the entire federal bench has 390 Republican appointees and 390 Democratic appointees. I think that number just went up with some of these confirmations post the end of the filibuster. But that's a dead split across the country. Now, there are 93, or were approximately 90, let's say, vacancies. You do the math. That is a significant percentage of the court, a little better than 10%, I believe, that this president can fill in 3 years left on his term, 3 years that they would slow walk. If Mitch McConnell and John Boehner had their way, Mitch McConnell particularly in the Senate, they would slow walk to the point where people withdraw their nominations. And these are people who have wide bipartisan support.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen several, very good, strong nominations that should have bipartisan support withdraw their own names because of this gridlock.
Well, they put their lives on hold to go through this process, Danielle. And what we need to understand is that your question, is this based on hating President Obama? Yes. Would it be true of any Democratic president? Yes, but there's something more visceral here. And the level of intensity, and certainly the facts bear it out. The numbers bear it out. This has just never happened before. We've never had, Chuck Hagel was threatened. A Republican former senator was held up as an appointee as defense secretary. It's ludicrous.
Yeah.
All of that being said, the filibuster is dead and buried for now. And I think what we're going to see, and a lot of people have been critical of Harry Reid, and I'm not saying that he hasn't accepted part of this whole game that's gone on is because the Republicans have ratcheted it up to DEFCON 12.
Well, but, you say that the filibuster is dead. The nuclear option really only helps with presidential appointments and still, not even all of them, nothing to help with Supreme Court nominees. How is that going to affect this hold on legislation on, bill after bill, immigration, the ENDA, one after another? Is it going to have any effect there just because Harry Reid went nuclear?
Well, we got and we will, the problem we have is that the House is, John Boehner won't bring that to the floor. He won't bring immigration reform to the floor. We're at the place right now where you're absolutely right. Legislation is not affected by filibuster reform, and for the uninitiated and for the people who are smart enough to have their heads explode when they hear the word filibuster, this really is about letting the majority, who happen to be Democrats elected, pass or confirm appointees, and that's really what it's limited to right now, except for the Supreme Court. But I truly do believe that they will see that once government starts working, and this is the bet, this is Harry Reid's calculation, and Barack Obama's, is that if he's allowed to do his job, and the government starts to work because people are filling these vacancies and actually doing the job of the executive branch, people will respond, and they will see government working. There are 3 years for that bet to pay off. It's a gamble, to be sure. And if Chris Christie is president and the Republicans should manage to take the Senate in 2014, or probably less likely in 2016, but 2014, then, we'll see if it was a bet worth taking. I believe it is.
I certainly do. I almost wonder, and David, you have such a vast knowledge of, the inner machine of politics. Would it have been better for Harry Reid, instead of just going nuclear on nominations, but to say that if you want to stand up and filibuster and block legislation and keep America's business from getting done, you actually have to stand up there and talk?
Well, that was Jeff Merkley and Tom Udall's proposal, bring back the talking filibuster, which I think is absolutely a good idea. And frankly, when it moves to the next phase, when it's about legislation and not about a nominee, because there really are differences on legislation. The nominees, they all agree. There will be no one to talk, in opposition to the judge who was just confirmed, who'd been appointed, who was serving in the George W. Bush administration. There wouldn't have been Republicans up there. Maybe Ted Cruz. But
yeah.
On legislation, the talking filibuster may be Harry Reid's next card to play, because I think we're going to see an effort sometime sooner rather than later to end the filibuster on legislation as well.
I certainly hope that goes from your lips to God's ears. We're speaking with David Bender, political director of Progressive Voices. You can check it out at progressivevoices.com. He's going to be joining us for one more segment, so don't go anywhere. This is the Thom Hartmann Program, and Tom will be right back.